Well, game is over. I am filming this at 12:27 in the morning on Tuesday. So you'll be seeing this on November 1st. I know I took a friggin' long time to make this video about Michigan. I took my sweet freaking time. I did have a video made, but right in the middle of the video, like while I was filming it on Saturday night, it got interrupted and I couldn't get around to making the video again. Anyway, I want to talk about the game and the little scuffle at the end of the game, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, how did this game go for Michigan? I want to start on the offense, because the offense was the big thing for me in this game. Offense, for the most part, played really well. Let's start with the running game, obviously. The run game, excellent, as usual. Blake Corum, 33 carries, 177 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. He also had technically a passing touchdown from J.J. McCarthy. I say that because it was a little pitch in front of him. It was a front pitch to Blake Corum. It was just one of those little catch it while he's running, and since it's technically a forward pass, even though it's not really a pass, they consider it one. But Blake Corum, 33 carries, 177 yards on the ground, averaging 6 yards per game, 6 yards per play, I should say, per rush. So obviously running the ball was effective and worked well. Now, why? And some people are saying that it was kind of a disappointing day rushing the ball, and I think people are saying that for two reasons. One, lack of explosive plays. We really didn't have those plays like we did against Penn State, where we were running for, in that game we had a 67-yard run for a touchdown by Donovan Edwards, and as soon as we got the ball back, a 61-yard touchdown run by Blake Corum. And we didn't really see that in this game. We saw, I think the longest run we had was 17 or 18 yards by Blake Corum. So not really a whole lot of explosiveness, but was able to average over 5 yards per rush, which is obviously good, and get first downs and extend drives very easily. That is the thing that Michigan is doing well, obviously, running the football like we've been doing every year. We're just doing it better this year than we ever have. Running the football is been a big strong suit of this team, so that's not really a surprise. Everyone knew that Blake Corum and in this run game with that offensive line, who also played fantastic, was going to be easy, or it was going to be, running the ball was going to be easy. So what are some of the pros and cons of this offense? Running game is great. Offensive line is playing awesome. Probably better than last year. And that was an award-winning offensive line right there. They're playing excellent football, opening up big holes for our running backs. And allowing them to get to the second level untouched, which is great. You definitely like to see that, especially when you have a speedy running back who's also tough and can break tackles. Like Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards can. So, passing the ball, J.J. McCarthy. I don't want to harp on the passing game too much. It has barely changed. We can pass the ball when we need to. Now, I'm not completely confident in our passing game. I'm not going to say we're one-dimensional, because we're not one-dimensional. We can pass the ball. When you're able to run the football effectively, it opens up that play-action pass. and allows it to be highly successful. And when it comes to short to medium passes, J.J. McCarthy's very accurate. He almost always puts the ball where it needs to be. And a lot of the time it comes down to the receiver not only catching it, but holding on to the football. Cornelius Johnson. So, offensive line's great. Running game is great. Passing the ball is adequate enough. It's mostly the deep ball that is a struggle for us. We don't get a whole lot of deep throws completed. That is an issue. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like it's a huge deal that we can't complete bit deep passes a lot of the time. Running the ball has obviously worked for us all year. We haven't really needed to get into that situation where we need to pass the ball a lot. Now, will we get into that situation? I don't know. We'll see. All it takes is a team to somehow limit our running game. The problem with that is, though, no team has been able to limit our running game. Every game this year we've had, I thought I saw something. Every game we've had this year, we've been able to run the ball effectively with no issues. But some negatives to... Jake Moody is fantastic. Obviously, we all knew that. He was a super accurate... He won a kicker. Super accurate kicker. Won kicker of the year last year and could win it again this year. Guy is excellent. He's making probably well over 90% of his kicks. He's went 5 for 5 in this game against Michigan State, including a 54-yard bomb that he probably could have made from 64 yards. I mean, the thing went flying way past. Excellent. Jake Moody is great. Great kicker. We saw a lot of him in this game, obviously, with 5 kicks, 5 field goals in this game. And that kind of and one more positive thing. Michigan does not punt very often. We punted one time in this Michigan State game, and it was with 6 minutes left in the game. We didn't punt one time against Penn State. We don't punt the ball a lot. Brad Robbins, our punter, has been very unbusy. He hasn't really done much in these last 2 games. It's not his fault. We're just not punting the ball. We're able to move the ball very effectively by running the ball pretty much 8 out of 10 times. And at least get into field goal range on almost every possession. We're in with a super accurate kicker like Jake Moody. We're able to pretty much get points on every drive. Almost every drive we're getting points, unless we're fumbling the football or throwing stupid pick sixes. We're not punting very often. Time of possession. Michigan held the ball for over 40 minutes in this game. Unbelievable. We did that last week, or 2 weeks ago against Penn State. We held the ball for 41 minutes out of that game. It's hard to score points when you're not on the field for very long. And it's not like we're holding it for 40 minutes because the other team is scoring right away. It's not what it is. We're holding these teams to 3 and out a lot. Michigan State is one of those teams, especially in the second half, we held them to 3 and outs consistently. And really didn't allow them to do much of anything in that second half. Some negative about the offense. There's a lot more positive than negative, but the negative is still concerning to me and could bite us in the ass later in the season against better teams with better offenses. Particularly with red zone offensive efficiency. There were several times, 5 times to be exact, or more than, we got into the red zone on almost every drive we had, almost every single one, besides the only ones where we didn't were the Cornelius Johnson fumble, the punt really late in the fourth quarter, and I think that 54-yard field goal. I don't think we were in the red zone for that one, and there was probably another one. I think it was our opening drive as well. We didn't do anything on our opening drive. I think that was also that was the Cornelius Johnson fumble was our first drive. So what was I saying? Red zone efficiency has been an issue, was a big issue in this game. Now, it didn't end up mattering too much in the end. You know, we were able to wear a Michigan State down offensively. They were obviously not anywhere near as talented as us, and we were able to get away with field goals all day and still win the game comfortably. Michigan State's a disgrace of a program at this point. Mel Tucker is overpaid. I'm going to rant about that in a minute, but let me just finish my little analysis here. But the red zone efficiency was not great. Now we're scoring in the red zone. Don't get me wrong, we're making field goals, but you'd like to see more touchdowns. What was a 29-7 win could have been a 42-7 win. Could have been a 49-7 win. Had we just not made the fumble, had we not had to kick field goals most of the time. You know, we scored first, 3-0. Okay, well, we get the ball back after they made it 7-3. We scored a touchdown, made it 10-7. Okay, cool. We got a touchdown. Got in the red zone again, 13-7. Had to kick a field goal. Got in the red zone again, 16-7. Had to kick another field goal, 19-7, 22-7, and just slowly chipped away and slowly built a comfortable lead over them just by shutting down their offense and scoring field goals. And then, you know, we gave them the ball. We're up 22-7. They did nothing with the football. They had to punt from deep in their own territory. And it was a botched snap by the long snapper. It was a bad snap. Went over the punter's head. He was able to catch it and come down with it, but by the time he had caught it and was going to try and punt it, there was probably 3 or 4 Michigan guys who were already circling him and had swarmed him and tackled him on like the 8-yard line. And Michigan scored a touchdown, I think on 2nd and goal. Made it 29-7. And then obviously we had that interception when Michigan State was actually able to move the ball after that, but we had the pick that sealed the game away, really. But yeah, red zone efficiency is a concern. I think there's going to be teams that we would play like an Ohio State if we were to make the playoffs, a Tennessee, a Georgia, an Alabama, whatever, Clemson. You know, one of those teams, I don't think will be able to get away with doing that. Now, Michigan's defense played really well as well. Some really good stuff from this defense. They struggled a bit in the first half, but the second half adjustments were made to perfection, and we shut them down on their offense. We got some sacks in. We had that pick, which was a negative, and I still feel like it is one of the things that our defense struggles with is interceptions, takeaways, fumble recoveries, whatever it is. There was probably 2 or 3 other times in this game where we could have picked off Peyton Thorne and just couldn't come down with it. So we finally did get one at the end of the game, which was nice to see. But I'd like to see that more, because there was more chances for interceptions in that game that we just couldn't come down with, and it was really frustrating to see. It's just like multiple times like, oh man, you're so close. But defense played great. Pass rush is great, and they're also not allowing teams to run the ball at all. Like, Michigan State had 37 rushing yards in this game. 37. Remember last year where they had Kenneth Walker, who ran for, I don't remember how much it was, 300 yards, 250 yards of rushing, and 5 touchdowns? Yeah, that didn't happen at all in this game. Their top rusher had 22 yards. So, yeah, that just wasn't happening. Defense also was struggling to block Keon Coleman, the big wide receiver of Michigan State, in the first half. He had 5 catches for like 155 yards. Our corner was just getting absolutely torched by this guy. He was much bigger and probably stronger than our corner, but that was cleaned up and didn't become a huge issue in the long run. Keon Coleman was the guy that caught the touchdown pass. So for Michigan State, so he has their lone touchdown in the game. And after that, our defense played great though. The second half especially just completely shut them down. I think at one point they said in the entire third quarter they had like Michigan State had like -1 yards total, some crazy stat like that. Like, wow, what a turnaround for this defense. They definitely made some adjustments where it needed to be made. And Michigan obviously being a second half team, I hate Michigan being a second half team. I think it's been okay so far because Michigan has been able to hang with everybody. Every team we've played we're better than, and have beaten either comfortably or even if it was somewhat close. To me, it was never in doubt. Even the Maryland game, which was to this point the closest game we've had all season, even that to me wasn't ever in doubt. I was confident we were going to win that game, and we did, because in the end the better team's going to win, and that's exactly what happened. So defense played really well. Obviously takeaways like trying to force turnovers or whatever. This defense also had multiple occasions in this game where it was 4th and 1 for Michigan State and we stuffed them. I think it happened twice. One of them was controversial. To me, it wasn't. To me, it was not a first down. It was a 4th and 1 play for Michigan State. They were deep in Michigan territory. It was 10-7 Michigan. And instead of going for the field goal to tie the game, they wanted to go for it on 4th and 1 on the 5-yard line. They would get a fresh set of downs. It was probably the right call, honestly. I think it was I would have made the same call, honestly, if I was Mel Tucker. But it still wasn't executed because they handed it off to Elijah Collins, their running back. He got stuffed up. I think he got back to the line. It wasn't even 4th and 1. It was like 4th and less than 1. Now, they said, I don't think he got it. And to me, he didn't get it. Looking at it on TV, he didn't look like he had made it. The referee gave him a very favorable spot with the ball. They measured it. Now, initially, they said that it wasn't a first down. They needed to get to the 47-yard line, I think it was, or whatever it was. They needed to get to the 47-yard line. Yeah, that was a different one. The 5-yard line one came later, I think. They needed to get to the 47-yard line to get the first down. Well, they determined that he was short, measured it, said it was a first down, and then they did a booth review and then overturned it again and said that he was down at like the 46.5, and it was a turnover in Michigan football. I thought it was a good call. Now, and that's not just because I'm a Michigan fan. To me, it looked like a good call. My fiance said it was a good call, and she's a Notre Dame fan. She doesn't like Michigan, so if she's saying it, then it just validates me more. So defense did really well, and there was it was that other one, the 5-yard line. Instead of tying the game, they tried to go for it, and they stuffed them, I think, for a loss of 2. So defense played really well in that department, and both of those plays where they tried to get the first down were running plays. Like I was saying, Michigan's defense are just swarming these teams who are running the ball. No team can run the ball on Michigan, and that might be a problem for a team like Ohio State. Did you see Ohio State against Penn State? Now, yes, they were able to pass the ball like they always can, but what could they not do in that game? Run the football. 2.1 yards per carry against Penn State off of, I think, 49 attempts or something like that, or however many it was. Yeah, not good. That offensive line lately has not been playing well for Ohio State. That could be an issue for them. They have to clean that up. Their offensive line has to get better in blocking for their running backs, and their running backs need to be able to get to that second level like Michigan can. If they can't fix those things, they're going to have a lot of issues against Michigan, because Michigan doesn't allow very much running the football. We allow under 80 yards rushing, I think it is, on average a game. And these last 2 games, we've allowed pretty much nothing. Teams have had to rely on the pass game to get anything on our defense. So we'll see how that goes for them. Looking at that Michigan-Ohio State game, that game is looking bigger and bigger every week. As long as these teams keep winning, and you see the strengths and weaknesses of both teams, it's going to be a big matchup. I think. Hopefully, it's not a blowout. As a Michigan fan, that's always that fear, the hype that Michigan has. Michigan fans get, this is the year Michigan could, win. Now, they did beat them last year, so it does help that we did beat them last year, but Ohio State is still playing at an unbelievable level. All right, let's move on. That little situation after the game. So, I don't remember, I think it was after the game. Now, you probably know, at Michigan Stadium, both teams come out of the same tunnel. Lots of teams and universities, they have 2 different tunnels for both teams. At Michigan, 1 tunnel. Now, I saw people complaining about that, like, oh, there should be 1 tunnel, that's so stupid. There's hardly ever issues with it. We've been playing with 1 tunnel for a million years, way before any of us. And you just don't see issues like this ever. Now, it's a heated rivalry, I get it. But apparently after the game, most of the Michigan players were still on the field, celebrating with the fans, holding up the Paul Bunyan trophy. We saw it on TV. It was great to bring back the trophy back to Ann Arbor, where it belongs. And the Michigan State players are doing the walk of shame back to the locker room, all sad and depressed, and as they should be, because they played pathetic. And I guess there was one lone Michigan player in the tunnel. He must have said something to these Michigan State guys, because, and granted, the video, that you can find the video, it's everywhere now. The video, it starts filming in the middle of it, so you don't really get the full context of what happened. You don't know what was said. All you see is a Michigan player who's not in uniform, and about 10 to 12, 15 Michigan State guys, and still in full uniform, just pushing and kicking the crap out of a Michigan player. I don't remember, I think it's like Jaden something is the Michigan player. I don't recognize him. I don't think he's a starter. Because I don't recognize the name. I remember reading it. I didn't recognize the name. And people were saying, because you can't really tell who it is in the video, because he's getting pushed around and he's on the ground and getting kicked before he's able to escape and run away. I couldn't tell who it was in the video. It was just too blurry. It was too much going on. He was jerking all over the place. I couldn't get a good look at him. Now, they said it was number 1. I thought, just like my friend Evan Chino on YouTube, we both thought it was Andrell Anthony, starting wide receiver. It was not Andrell Anthony. It was some other guy. Andrell Anthony was probably on the field celebrating with the rest of the team. Why was Jaden, whatever his last name is, why was Jaden in the tunnel, and why was he probably said something, right? There's no, I can't see these Michigan State players just with that gang mentality for no reason at all to just circle this guy and beat the crap out of him. I don't get it. I don't get how that could even happen unless he said something. Now, I don't care what he said. All right? I seriously doubt that he went up to just any random Michigan State player and just shoved them or like tried to start a fist fight with them. Well, then, yeah, you're stupid. Why would you do that? I just don't think that that's what happened. He had to have said something that obviously pissed off Michigan State players, made them offended, made them, cry in their juice boxes. And, it doesn't matter how big of a dude you are. You get ganged up on by 10 to 12 grown men, you're not winning that fight, especially football players. How big were these guys? How big is the average football player? College football player, 6'1", 6'2", 200 to 220 pounds of full-on muscle. Maybe you have your linemen in there like 6'7", 6'8", 250 to 350. I mean, you're not, even against a bunch of averagely sized men, you're not going to win that fight, let alone against huge football players. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason why this should have happened. No reason. Is there any discipline in this Michigan State program? Listen, I know it makes the rest of the team look bad because of what these group of individuals decided to stupidly do. And it's also stupid of them to do because it's all on video. There's video evidence of this happening. They're in full uniform. You can't look at the faces, but you have their number and last name. You can see them in the video. You know exactly who's doing it. Now, you can't see everybody, but you can get an idea of a few of the people in the video who are involved. It's completely ridiculous. How does something like this happen? I don't care what he said. There's nothing that justifies that. Beating someone up over comments? Bunch of losers. Bunch of losers. Not only should they be suspended from never playing at Michigan State again, they should be expelled from the University of Michigan State. And honestly, if that's all that happens to them, they'd be lucky to not get away with assault charges. Police are involved. There is an ongoing investigation by the police about this situation, because this isn't one of those things where two players got into a fight on the field. One guy lost his mind and swung at another guy. This was in the tunnel, in a hallway, after the game, and legitimately they beat this guy up. Legitimately beat this guy up. Assault charges need to be made. Arrest them. Something needs to be done. More than a slap on the wrist. Something like this shouldn't happen. The Michigan State program is in shambles right now. They're on a downward spiral. And it's not even just because of situations like this or the fact that they're 3-5 and completely irrelevant and garbage as a football program now. It's the fact also that you have Mel Tucker, who had one good season with Michigan State and Kenneth Walker and all this great stuff. They started the season 8-0, or in the top 10. And basically the only thing he has to hang his hat on is that he still has a winning record against Jim Harbaugh. The one thing he had was, I'm 2-0 against Jim Harbaugh. Well, you're not 2-0 anymore. You look like a complete joke, because this is apparently what Michigan State players are taught, that this is okay to beat up somebody. No discipline. These players are obviously not disciplined. And this is what happens. Not talking about the scuffle. But this is what happens when you have one good season and then you want to lock a guy down for 10 years and pay him $100 million or somewhere close to $100 million. Now, I don't blame Mel Tucker for signing that contract. I would sign it in a heartbeat. But you have one good season. University goes crazy. They want to lock this guy down. And they give him way too much money for doing what? What did he do to deserve a 10-year, what was it, $95 million contract? What did he do to deserve it? He went 10-2. He beat Michigan, I guess. That's the biggest thing he did. He beat Michigan. He finished third or fourth in the Big Ten East. Went to a meaningless bowl game. I don't know. What did he do? What did he do to deserve it? I think they finished third in the East. That's what you're paying this guy for, to get third in the East? Not even make the... Yeah, you beat Michigan, but you lost to Purdue. And then you got demolished by Ohio State. And then you finished third in your division. And all you have to hang your hat on is that one win that Michigan should have beat you in. And then they overpay this guy. They overpay this guy. And now you're stuck with him. Now you're stuck with him. What's his buyout? $85 million? They ain't paying that. You're stuck with him for the next however many years. 8-9 years? You're stuck with him. Because there ain't no way Michigan State University is going to be paying that buyout. It ain't happening. And if you're Mel Tucker, you've got no reason to get better. No reason. What are they going to do? Is the athletic director going to be like, oh, well, you got to do better, Mel? Well, who's making me? Who's making me? What are you going to do? You can't fire me. You want to fire me? Great. Give me my $85 million. I'm going to retire early. I'm going to retire with a handsome amount of money. So, either give me my money and I'll walk gladly, or you're stuck with me and I don't got to change. That's probably what he's thinking. He's in such a comfortable place right now that he doesn't have to worry about anything financially. Nothing. What does he have to worry about? Completely ridiculous. Why they paid this idiot so much money, I will never know. At least Mark D'Antonio, he could back up his coaching, or could back up the amount of money he was making. I don't think he made anywhere near the amount Mel Tucker is making. Not anywhere near. Not anywhere close. I don't get it. I don't understand. Overpaying. Same thing's happening at Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher. They're overpaying the guy. They're not going to buy out his contract, even though he's playing like garbage. Even though he's recruiting at a ridiculously high level and he can't get a win to save his life. They're not going to fire him. Why would they? They can't. No university is going to pay that buyout. And Michigan State's no different. You're stuck with Mel Tucker. You better hope he gets better. Because while transfer portal worked great in 2021 with Kenneth Walker, after you lost all those good players, it ain't working for you now. Ain't it, Mel? It ain't working for you, ain't it? Tell Mucker.